Welcome to everybody today. This is the fourth session that we are organizing to ensure that we as leadership of the school, both management and board of governors, can reach out to the community of students, parents, friends of UWC Dilijan. 4 weeks ago, we had the opportunity to share with you the initial response of the school to this sudden COVID crisis, as well as very preliminary perspectives that we had about the future of the school. 3 weeks ago, we continued the sessions by highlighting the potential emotional consequences that the crisis can have. Last week, we highlighted the evolution in university admissions. And today, as the fourth session, we want to share with you, and today's session is therefore very important, we want to share with you what the Board of Governors of the school, in collaboration with the leadership of the school, has taken as decisions to ensure a positive and continued operation of the school. The crisis, of course, is a sudden and difficult situation for the education sector, and we are undergoing the consequences. However, we all know that crises are also opportunities for renewed strength. They are tests of our values, but they enable us to do what is right, to do it in a determined way. And as you will hear from us today, both leadership of the school and board of governors, we are fundamentally committed to continuing to invest in the school. And we're actually very confident that the school, the college, will emerge even stronger out of this crisis. We are privileged to have a board of governors that is composed of exceptional and highly committed individuals who have worked very hard over the last couple of weeks with Gabriel and his team to ensure that the school would be best placed in this context. Today, we will hear from three people. Afeyan. Anna is Swedish. She lives in Boston with her husband, Nubar, who is also a member of the Board of Governors. Anna, since many years, has been involved in education as a volunteer, as a teacher, as a member of Board of Governors, and as a supporter, and her family's support to the school is very special. She will share with us the outcomes and the decisions formally made by the Board of Governors. Then we will hear from Gabriel. I believe everybody knows Gabriel, headmaster of the school, longtime member of the UWC movement, and today our anchor in the turbulent times that we are living. Gabriel will highlight again how the decisions and priorities that the board has decided are concretely translated in the school, with also a very specific emphasis on how the school will restart in a few months. Finally, we will turn to the future, and Veronika, also well known to everybody as founder and soul of the college, will talk about the future and our confidence in a bright future. As a point of housekeeping, we will stick to the timing, so we will finish in 1 hour. Your questions are very welcome. We suggest that you would flag them through the chat box. I will then make sure that we can answer as many of them as possible. The questions that we would not be able to answer in this session will be addressed separately to make sure that no questions remain unaddressed. Rests me one thing to do, and that is to thank the Future Studio, who provides us with the IT support. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Pierre Gurdjian. I'm Belgian. I am privileged to be part of the Board of Governors since many years, and I'm the president of the Free University of Brussels in Belgium. Thank you for your attention. And with this, Anna, I would like to give you the floor.
Thank you, Pierre. Good morning from Boston. It's early morning here. A beautiful day actually outside, and I'm talking from my 8th week of stay-in-place order. So this just illustrates how global this crisis is. It's my real pleasure to participate in this meeting about the future of UWC Dilijan and how our common values will help us overcome this crisis. As Pierre said, I'm Swedish and my husband Nubar is Armenian. Together we have raised an Armenian, Swedish, American, multilingual family. So our kids have strong roots in all 3 cultures. We truly believe in an international education, and we have been involved with the school from the very beginning. And we believe that this school has endless possibilities as a center of innovation and excellence in Armenia. And UWC Dilijan has really connected Armenia to the world and the world to Armenia. It really has been my pleasure to visit the college many, many times and to experience myself the exciting learning, the exchanges and perspectives shared in the classrooms in Dilijan between students and educators from all parts of the world. I've also had the opportunity to meet UWC Dilijan graduates in Boston, Massachusetts, Montreal, New York. They are all hardworking and opinionated in a very good way, joined by their shared experiences in Dilijan. And they're showing great confidence as emerging global leaders in their fields. It's all very impressive. The board continues to be deeply grateful to the head, Gabriel, and all staff members for their hard work, commitment, and spirit during this trying period. They have managed to keep our students safe while continuing to deliver a global, high-quality online education. Let me also thank our students and families for your understanding, support, and resilience during this difficult period. As Pierre mentioned, the board has met multiple times during the past couple of months to review all aspects of the situation and to try to decide the best course of actions for the future of the college. COVID-19 is a global challenge affecting the economy in all countries. 70% of our students are on some form of scholarship, relying on philanthropic funding, and 30% pay full fee. Both sources of income are likely to be severely affected by the crisis. As you might know, UWC Dilijan just celebrated its 5th anniversary. It's a young school, but on that occasion, we undertook a fundraising campaign with the goal to raise $5 million. And fortunately, this happened just before COVID-19, and we're happy to report that we reached that goal, which will help alleviate some of the negative impact of this crisis. We are confident that the donors will be able to fulfill their multi-year pledges of this campaign. In spite of this, the school will face a $2 million deficit in budget. So the board had to make some very difficult decisions in the interest of the future of the school. At the board meeting in April, the board and the founders expressed a strong commitment to keep the college open and ensure its continuity. Together with the leadership, the board agreed on the following principles while considering budget reductions. 1, preserve quality of education. 2, put people first, try to avoid layoffs. 3, prioritize the long-term sustainability of the college. There were some very resulting difficult formal decisions taken, and those decisions are as follows. Plan for a return to campus for the second-year students, DP2, in mid-August, and the first-year students, DP1, in mid-September, while of course being ready to adapt to a different scenario depending on the global situation. Stipulate that the non-payroll costs be capped at 2.15 million That's down from 2.65 million previous year. Stipulate that human resource budget be capped at $2.45 US, down from 3.7 million previous year. Consider creative ways of raising funds to help the school's long-term sustainability. And finally, explore innovative approaches to education that might arise from this opportunity to teach in a different way during this crisis. The board realizes that we're asking a lot from the entire community, and in particular from the leadership and staff. But we're confident that we can weather this unprecedented crisis together. More than ever, the world needs young, innovative global leaders working for peace and sustainability, and that's stated so well in our mission. Our hope is that we will emerge as a stronger community of school leadership, staff, students, parents, generous supporters, and board to help sustain the college and find new opportunities in the face of this unprecedented adversity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. I do want to again acknowledge your generous contribution as a family, you, Nubar, and your children. In the context of the 5-year fund, you made a very generous contribution of $1 million. That is much appreciated. Gabriel, perhaps I will let you speak, and in doing that, I want to echo what Anna said. What you and the staff have done over the last couple of weeks is truly exemplary, and we are proud to have such a professional team at the college.
Thank you, Pierre.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'd like to start thanking the board for the commitment, the contribution. Our board and the founders have spent a huge amount of time over the last month trying to find ways to make sure that we can weather the storm. I'd also like to thank the UWC Dilijan team because they walked the extra mile caring for our students and for each other. And even the willingness to take a pay cut next year, it's something that needs to be acknowledged and thanked. I would like to share with the whole community, like Anna did, that we managed to come up with a plan where we'll have no layoffs. Every member of the team has an offer on the table so that they can continue to be part of UWC Dilijan College and receive support from us. And we've done that by implementing a gradual salary cap so that we're protecting those members of our team with the lowest income, and the cap goes up depending on the salary levels. Finally, let me thank also the families of the national committees. Your support has meant a lot to all of us during these times. So those messages, those little anecdotes mean a lot. So please keep them coming. We've been working on this crisis with our sister schools and colleges across the UWC movement, with the UWC national committees, the international office, the IB, and the Armenian authorities. In particular, we developed some very strong links with them. And that has allowed us to be quite agile in responding to this crisis. We jumped into online learning very quickly, and we're facilitating and supporting the learning of our students, whether those 30 students are still on our campus or the 190 plus who are home. As you can imagine, with such a rapid transition, we had hiccups, and we're learning every day, and we're making sure that we draw lessons that can improve our remote learning provision. The good news is that the college is very well equipped to deal with this crisis, to continue supporting our students, not just their education. We're also providing psycho-emotional support and also providing access to a university counselor full-time. So all of their needs are being supported remotely from the campus. Some of you will have attended the previous webinar that Pierre mentioned earlier, and you will remember how well a class of 2020 has done in terms of university admissions. In fact, some of them are facing a very privileged problem right now of having to choose which of their many acceptances they're going to sign up for. So we're very proud of them, and we'll be sharing all the information once we have the final numbers and confirmations of the placements. Like every other institution, we're facing a financial storm where we have some debts, we've had to do additional expenditure, and we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we keep supporting everyone in the community here and beyond while innovating. We implemented intelligent online textbooks, we've implemented additional software, training for our team. So we're doing all of that because the college is still going. The campus may be in lockdown, but we're going and we're learning lessons that will help us now and in the future, the next academic year and beyond. So many of you will be thinking, so what's the college going to be doing next year? Our admissions are going ahead in synchronicity with the rest of the movement. We're getting ready to welcome 104 new students to a class of 2022. How are we going to do that? At the moment, exploring all options. Anna mentioned earlier how we would like to welcome our returning students earlier, to spend a month with them, to then welcome our new students, so that our returning students have an additional time where we can focus. They've had a very truncated experience this year, and we're going to try and compensate that. If the situation changes, we may have to bring them all early, and we're exploring options of quarantining groups at different times. We're looking into purchasing PCR tests so we can test everyone on arrival to check whether they need to be quarantined or not. We're looking at all those options, working with our fellow schools, with the Armenian government to see what we can implement. Right now, I cannot give you dates. As you can see, the situation is constantly fluid and changing. So we're coming with different scenarios and we'll be in constant communication with you to let you know what's happening. But right now, we're planning on opening in August on the original dates. Some of you are asking already, what's the academic year? What's the school year going to look like? The truth is that we have a calendar that we have been working on for months with the staff, with the student council, and right now we're going to turn it back into a draft because we'll have to be agile and modify the calendar. What things are we considering? We could be lengthening the year into June 21 for our first year students. If we have to, we're considering removing the October break that we had in place. We'll keep all of that fluid so we can respond to the needs of the time. We're also considering maintaining the lockdown. Some of us have been locked down in the campus now for over 6 weeks, and it is a possibility that we come back and that we have to lock down the campus upon arrival to make sure that we can keep the community safe. Depending on where the situation is in Dilijan and Armenia, it is one of the things that we will consider. That would have an impact, obviously, particularly on a cash program, on a creativity, activity, and service program, but we'll find opportunities to compensate that. One of the good surprises of this crisis is, for example, we're now providing a canteen. We're a campus-developed, campus-grown lettuce. So we've already sent several boxes of lettuce grown in a greenhouse, and our students are doing now service working in the greenhouse on campus. So we have to be creative, and I'm sure we'll find ways of adding value to the experience while supporting the community. So I'd like to reinforce the message. We're comparing notes with IB schools, with UWC schools, with the International Council of International Schools, with the International School Network, to learn lessons from each other, see what we can implement so that we have different plans and we can be open and welcome students back in the case of our second years. But the important thing I want to share with you is the commitment of the college to continue our operations, to continue providing education, and to continue to innovate to respond to this huge global challenge. And I think the best thing I can do right now is to invite Ana Settelmayer Garcia, who's one representative for the core of the Student Council, who can share some of the initiatives that they're putting in place. Ana, over to you.
Hi, thank you. So when we were at the college, Monday mornings were the only times where all staff and students gathered for announcements and performances and reminders on weekly happenings. But of course, unfortunately, since we cannot gather anymore, the Student Council has decided to continue to provide this platform. So we created online Monday morning briefings. Every week, the Student Council provides a video with short announcements and performances, clips, and reminders for the whole community. Although it's not the same that seeing everyone in person is, we really hope to boost morale and maintain the UWC community spirit. We would like to keep everybody connected, and we always encourage the entire community to send in their own videos from whatever location they are in around the world. Despite not having graduation, the faculty has decided to host a virtual exhibition, which provides an opportunity for the students from the class of 2020 to showcase the work that they are proud of. This will offer the unique perspective and provide a platform for them to express and reflect on their unique UWC experience. Anything that can be displayed virtually, from photos and films, reflections, websites, speeches, and more, will be displayed from the historical class of 2020. Also, as we approach the end of term, we have formed a team of social committee members, peer listeners, and student council members to help organize the ideas from everyone in the community about how we will prepare to welcome the arrival of the class of 2022. For those of you who don't know, peer listeners are students who are trained by the school psychologists to be an emotional help to their peers. So currently we are collecting ideas from both DP1, so first years and second years, about what was appreciated from last induction week and what improvements we want to see in the upcoming school year. But so far we haven't planned any year-wide discussions, although we are planning to do so either in a call or when we come back to campus. We have, however, discussed this in Tune Times, so virtual Tune Times group chats and with individuals. And for those of you who don't know what Tune Times are, it is when we all gather with our dorm group houses every week. We want to make the arrival for the class of 2022 as special as our lovely second years made it for us, while incorporating our own ideas. We are very excited to meet and welcome the incoming first years to our community. Just as we got an amazing welcome from our second years, we want to pass that on, since we particularly now realize how special our community is. We are very grateful for the UWC opportunity and extremely excited to see what happens next year.
Gracias, Ana.
Gracias.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Gabriel. I would now like Veronika to speak about the future. And I would say that probably the real significance of this crisis relies on our renewed commitment for the potential that the future holds for this college as a continued journey, and who else can talk better about this than Veronika. I do also want to acknowledge Veronika and Ruben, not only for their role, but also for their generous financial support to the school. They have just announced their commitment of supporting the school with an amount of 3 million in the next few years. That comes on top of the 5th year fundraising effort. Veronika, floor is yours.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, everybody, for being in the discussion and being with us today. And I want to say that it's this journey started already maybe almost 10 years ago, and it started before 2014 when the school was opened. And the vision was always to create a beacon in their region of mutual respect and mutual and the international center that nurtures future leaders of the world. I want to echo what Anna and Pierre is telling, that we are very grateful on behalf of the board, that we are grateful to Gabriel and the whole UWC Dilijan staff for care of the students and the support of community members have given to each other, and loyalty shown towards the college has been outstanding, and it is highly appreciated and valued. What is important as well is their transparency and openness to discuss challenges and discuss sometimes not very comfortable issues. I also like to thank our parent community and our students. I feel that everybody showed their personal strength, resilience, and patience, helping the school work in an organized way and prioritize in this extreme situation. And the board, as Anna said, continues to be committed to the school. And we witnessed that the commitment of the board members of UWC Dilijan was outstanding. People spent hours in conversations, tried to bring all their resources and then connections to help out to find the best solution. In other words, I feel that at the time that our values has been tested, we as a community have been standing shoulder to shoulder, and we have been true to what is important to us all. We all care about the future of humanity, and the education of young generation is more important than ever, because the future will depend on the people who will run this world and who will be acting in this world. And we feel responsible that we are nurturing these people in UWC Dilijan, as well as our all UWC community. The crisis unfortunately brought some division into this world, and the world actually has become bigger as a result. International travel has practically stopped. All countries, understandably, think of their own citizens first, and at the moment, international links are limited. This means that our school, with its ethos of internationalism and diversity, will be a crucial player in the region and the world. We have to continue to bring young people together as global citizens, caring about the world beyond their own borders. And as I mentioned before, UWC Dilijan was designed from the very beginning as the beacon in the region that makes big impact into the country and into not only and beyond. And I hope that our somewhat sheltered, offbeat and unique location will be even a more desirable place for international students. I remember when we opened in 2014 and managed to get students from 48 countries to Dilijan, Armenia. It was a big surprise that it was possible. In 2019-20, we have students from almost 80 nationalities. So let us be true to the spirit of learning from each other and discovering that our values are universal. Our priorities are, of course, the safety and the quality of education that we provide. Although UWC Dilijan relies on strong fundamentals, there is much to work ahead of us. And the board is working with the college leadership team to find new opportunities in this crisis. We believe that any crisis gives new opportunities and opens some of them that were impossible to think about before. And again, in conclusion, I would like to say a special word of gratitude to the school supporters, especially those who provided scholarships as part of the 5th anniversary campaign. And without their support, we would not be able to operate. And it is especially valuable now in the situation worldwide that we see that all our supporters are going to fulfill all their commitments. And the board and the founders are deeply committed to the college and its community, working hard to ensure a sustainable and existing future in which the college will continue to prosper and make a difference in the lives of many and thus in the world. I also, maybe the last thing to say, that we rely on loyalty, open dialogue, and the community working together. And community consists of the teachers, all staff members, students, and parents and supporters. Please keep safe and take care of yourself and your families. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Veronika. We now have time to address questions. You already have submitted a whole series of questions. At this point, I would probably highlight two themes. There's one theme around which there are many questions that have to do that relate to how the next academic year is likely to be. Now, Gabriel, you have already highlighted some issues, but perhaps it's just helpful to repeat those. And my sense from the questions is that there's obviously a question around date, but also arrival modalities in function of the sanitary situation, potential uncertainty if students cannot travel, and then how the academic year will unfold in function of which scenario there is. So I will ask you, Gabriel, to talk about that. And then there is at least one question around admission, but that's a separate topic which perhaps we can deal with after the first one. So, Gabriel.
Okay, thank you, Pierre. What is the likelihood of all of our students arriving on campus at the same time next year? Minimal. I think we can acknowledge that. Therefore, we're planning on the different scenarios. Do we bring, like normally, all students second years first, and then 1 week or so later the first years? That's one scenario. If we know that countries will lock down again, then we need to get everybody on campus so we can support them. What we prefer to do is to get a second year students earlier into the campus, arriving mid-August. If we can do PCR tests for everyone upon arrival, in a matter of hours, we know if the students will have to be under quarantine or not. And if not, we can start school operations straight away. So there's two scenarios there. Arriving mid-August for the second years, going straight into campus if they're clear, or arriving to be quarantined for 2 weeks to then start school operations. The variable will be the arrival date of the first years of our new students, and that will depend on the evolution of the situation worldwide. So they'll either come shortly after our second year students or 1 month behind if possible. The later we start, the easier it will be for those new year students to come into Armenia. Our second year students already have residency cards. It's much easier for them to travel into Armenia because any resident in Armenia is legally allowed back into the country. Some of our new students, their visa process is going to take much longer. Many embassies and diplomatic legations are closed. They've already told us that the process will take longer, and therefore some of them may get their visas later or may have to come with a letter of invitation so that we can then sort the visa once they're already in country. So that's why we at the moment, we think that the most likely scenario is a staggered arrival, second years first, and then the new students. What impact will that have on the school year? As of now, we're planning on starting a 2-week break in October, finishing the second about the 20th of December, to have a 1-month holiday, to restart in January, finishing in May. We don't know whether the airports will continue open, whether there'll be a second or third wave that will close down. So we will need to have some form of break. It's a very long term. The type of break we'll have may have to change depending on the situation. Just like we continue to support the students who couldn't go home, if it comes to a situation that in December some students can go home and some cannot, we'll find a way to support them here so they are supported throughout any break we may have. In terms of impact on education, some students may have to start online. Just like many universities, many schools are getting ready, it's very likely that we have to start with a blended approach where the staff may have students in classroom and students who are participating remotely. It could be that by that time there's another wave in Armenia and we have to do full online, even if some students are on campus and some are not. But all of those scenarios, we'll cover them and we're preparing details. So we will keep communicating through our admissions, through our open apply system. We'll keep sending newsletters to all of you so you know where the current thinking is and what dates and what plans we have.
Gabriel, one specific detail, unless you might have already touched upon, and in that case, about my excuses. If students need to be quarantined, there's a question where that quarantine will actually happen.
So we had already set up an expansion and annex to our clinic with 17 additional beds, and we've already identified 2 further spaces that we could use. So if we had to collect students at the airport, put them with glass masks into a school bus, bring them directly here to quarantine them, we've already identified how we could do that on campus while making sure that we can do it in batches so we don't put everyone at risk at the same time. It will be in the small groups to reduce the impact, and it will be the 14 days supervised by a clinic.
Thanks, Gabriel. Let's quickly deal with the question around admissions. I think the more general question is, how is the admission process evolving right now? What are the next steps? What should people expect, really?
So Elena and Tatevic, our admissions team, are already in contact with families. We're processing all nominations, and we're inviting families to set up an account in Open Apply, which is the software, the online platform we use to manage our admissions. And as soon as the family has an account there, they'll start receiving all notifications as we send them. From the new copy of the student handbook to a list of what to pack, what not to pack, what documents we need, medical history, and so on. So that's already ongoing, and as the students are being processed, the families will start to receive our communications.
Thank you. I do see, now we're also getting into highly operational questions, but I just want to flag it. Perhaps, Gabriel, there is no answer yet, but as the question is coming in, there's a question on staff housing and number of students in terms of the ability or not to accommodate more or less staff members on campus.
Yes. So Kinga, to reply to your question, the number of students we admit will be a balance between welcoming as many as we can, while at the same time getting ready in case we get hit by another wave and we need to de-densify. So that's the main reason to change the number of admissions. At the moment, we're looking at 210 students, which actually compared to the 226 that we currently have is not a big drop. There's some staff that we're relocating on campus to support families and also to have more adults working with the students as part of the residential community, but it's not the primary drive to change the numbers.
Thank you, Gabriel. A question of a different nature, and I will pass that on to Veronika, is about essentially the financial model of the school. There's a specific question about what the main driver is of this year's financial shortfall. I'm tempted to say it's also a good opportunity to address in more general sense what the financial economic model of the school has been in terms of its nature and sustainability in the future. And I will pass that on to you, Veronika.
Yeah, thank you, Pierre. So the school from the very beginning was set up as a non-profit organization that can provide a unique experience to young people. So then the principles were from the very beginning that diversity is essential. So the school operations is supported by parents and by the donors to make sure that all young people have unique experience meeting people from not only various cultures and various parts of the world, but also from very different social groups, which doesn't happen in majority of the schools, and UWC model is particularly aiming for that. And therefore, it is essential that school has strong binding with the supporters and with the parents. And for many years, school was highly dependent on our family contribution. First years operations of the schools were covered on 65% by our family. So over time, that contribution went down in percentage. It was this year was 30%, 35%, and we were working hard to make their also the number of supporters bigger to make school more sustainable. And there another direction also to make it more sustainable and work more efficiently is to work on economy of scale to increase number of students on campus. campus from the very beginning was built for that can accommodate, and the school building can accommodate up to 400 students. Last year we had 225 students. Of course, we are limited with their accommodation, that their boarding houses were built and accommodate only that number. And there were plans to implement the second stage of our campus building and build more boarding houses. Obviously, current crisis and situation will postpone our plans, and we won't be able to implement them in the next 3-5 years, but it's still on our planning. And the thinking of the board and decisions were made. We're aiming to for the school to pass this hard time and continue to grow in numbers in the future. But as Anna mentioned, that there are 3 main principles, and what we see is very important to preserve and even improve a unique experience, UWC experience, and special Dilijan experience and Armenian experience for young people from all over the world during this time. And it includes diversity, socioeconomic diversity and cultural diversity, as I mentioned, to preserve and to keep the best people who are there, both the staff, the supporters, everybody, to strengthen community. And this priority of strengthening community will be even more. And also the third one is this college sustainability, to make it possible to grow and thrive over years. And there also maybe last thing to say that it's their big, it was big commitment from our family from the very beginning. I don't know how much you know that the school campus cost nearly in total $150 million. And there are also operations of the schools over this 5, almost 6 years cost about, were about $44 million, and there 22 of this these operations were covered also by our family, as well as 80% of our capital expenses as well. And there, it's again repeating its long-term vision. School is young, and it's only start of a long journey, and nobody expected that this journey will be smooth and easy. It was a miracle from the beginning, and nobody could believe that international school is possible to open in Armenia. It became true, and we achieved it already, and we're looking forward for many years in front, and understand that we have to be resilient, adaptive, positive. And again, we are looking forward for the future despite all the challenges we face now.
Thank you, Veronika. I have observed that a few among you have either asked very specific questions, for instance, around Guatemala. I will field that offline to Gabriel and his team. I also see interesting concrete proposals in terms of optimizing dates. Thank you for those proposals. We'll also feed that to Gabriel and his team. I am now looking at the other questions to see if there would be other topics that are open, or if you have any new topics that you would like us to address at this moment. I'm both looking at the Zoom Q&A and what we get through Facebook. I don't see new questions popping up.
Pierre?
Yes, Gabriel?
Maybe I can see a theme in some of the questions, so maybe I can address one of the beauties of Dilijan, what Veronika was referring earlier to the remote location, is that we're very privileged to be on a campus on the edge of a nature park, 1,300 meters high, beautiful clean air, and a self-sustaining campus. So I want to reassure students and their families that the campus can operate almost semi-autonomously. At the moment, we have a very reduced number of external people coming on campus to deliver food to a canteen. We have a protocol on how to isolate. We've reduced the number of engineers on campus and security on campus. So we are in a very privileged position where even if we've been in lockdown for 6 weeks, you can actually do the 10,000 steps. Walking inside the campus, we have the swimming pool open, we've had staff, students, football games, we've got the greenhouse. So there's actually lots of opportunities. I will even say that we're running a Star Wars movie saga where we're going to do all 9 movies, or 10 if you include Rogue One. So it is a very good place to be. I've got friends all over the world who are really confined, not being able to live where they live. We are privileged in a sense. So it's not all doom. There's a certain beauty, if I can say that, to being here.
Thank you, Gabriel. All governors have decided that they will move to Dilijan very, very soon. I do see an interesting question for you, Veronika, and that's the question about the future. You did mention a number of new opportunities, or actually, Anna, it is Anna. Veronika, you spoke about the future, but you as well, Anna, so I will feed it to you. And then there's a interesting curiosity, of course, about what you see as opportunities.
Are you talking about educational opportunities born out of this crisis? I think we all have learned how to work online in a totally different way, and maybe how to work more efficiently. I think we've also learned that it's possible to collaborate with a whole lot of other people. I see it myself in the nonprofits I'm involved with, educational nonprofits in the US. We're working with a very underprivileged community. And the amount of work that we've been able to do with this community, if you help them get the right type of equipment, is remarkable. How you can keep in contact with people who have kind of dispersed all over the world, and how you can access experts in different fields. And all of us, I think, have gotten used to communicating this way. It's not the ideal way, but there are really some opportunities to access sources of information and specialists that we might not have been aware of before.
Thank you very much, Anna. I see somebody telling us that, dear Gabriel, your students like the campus very much. Please send a tentative arrival date. We've talked about that, and your students would be able to take a deep breath. I think you've answered those questions, but I would say it shows how much we all care, and particularly our students and our parents. We have them very much in our mind in terms of designing the best conditions to continue the journey that Veronika has been talked about. We as governors are extremely aware of our collective responsibility for the well-being, safety of your children, and of the unique educational project that we want to offer them. I would probably suggest it's 5 minutes to or 6 or 7 minutes before the hour, but I would probably suggest that we think about closing this session. At this moment, we have not planned another online session next week, because at some point, you know, we have to focus on doing and not only on communicating. We of course encourage everybody to reach out. And we haven't discussed this in detail. We haven't planned it, but I can imagine that over the next few weeks, we might plan another town hall to keep everybody abreast of what is going on and to continue to engage with our community. Somebody is asking for contact details. We will provide all practical details if you are asking for. Veronika, any closing remarks that you would like to do?
I would probably add that it's something about collective responsibility. As I want to assure all the parents and everybody today are listening to us, that we all, again, as the community and the board members, supporters, UWC Dilijan, the leadership team, and all the staff, when we make any decision and also do anything, we put in the center interests of young people. And we will have, and we should pass through hard times, and that it is essential to set up priorities. So priorities of UWC Dilijan is make young people thriving, find their way in their life, and be happy. So then there is no straightforward route. So there are many decisions needs a lot of consideration, and some of them have risks. So that, but please be assured, and we all remember that everything is done in the interests of these young people for whom we feel we are now responsible, and we feel responsible that when they grow up, they will become responsible for other people, for communities, for the world, for their parents, for their children. So, and that's how we see that our impact on the world and to make it a better place. And we do it together with our friends, together with our colleagues, and that is very important, and it gives a lot of satisfaction for us and give us meaning in our purpose for our lives. So please be resilient and take care, and thank you. See you more. Yes, Anna, maybe you had.
Anna?
I think that's the strength, right, of education and the global education. The world right now really needs these young leaders more than ever. The borders have closed. We can't live like that. And there will have to be a path forward where these connections these students make in Dilijan is going to last for a lifetime. And I have to say, many people we have done some of the fundraising events, and I've had colleagues who have met these students, and what they told me after was, when I hire young people, these are the type of people I would like to hire. They are outspoken, they are knowledgeable, they are self-confident, and they are aware of the larger context in which we work. So I have all the confidence in international education, and particularly international education in UWC Dilijan.
Thank you very much, Anna. All of you who have attended this session, thank you for your interest. Thank you for your support. You've heard the commitment, confidence, and enthusiasm that we have about the future of this school. We feel privileged that you all are part of this. Gabriel, thank you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Veronika. Thank you for the technical team who has made this possible. Sofia, Ashkik, Jana more than technical. Thank you very much, Jana. And Anna in Washington, thank you as well. We will be in touch soon. Thank you.